actually really happy to do this presentation because this was actually 27 years ago my entrance into astronomy. So I'm not an astronomer by education, but I did develop an interest in archaeoastronomy, which is what this is based on. Sometime mid-career in my IT career, I decided to find something that was not strictly about numbers and maybe about history. So I discovered this course up at UVic, and they started talking about all these interpretations of the night sky through many different cultures. And I was amazed by the uniqueness of some of them, but also, for many of them, the commonality in them. So today I'll talk a little bit about what I understand about Maya astronomy. So thank you for challenging me with this, because I learned a lot by doing this. Many of these pictures, the photographs of some of the sites are actually mine from 2012. I had the opportunity to go there for a destination wedding, and we happened to be there, and I happened to take the 2-hour trip out to Chichen Itza. So this is El Castillo, the Temple of Cococan. And yeah, I think it was in February sometime. So I actually missed the key event, and I'll talk about that in a second.
Not the wedding.
No, the wedding I went to, because actually I was the photographer. Yeah, when they found out how much photographers cost, they said, "David, can you do this?" And I did. Okay, so the Maya were very close to their natural environment, so there's really no surprise that they were interested in astronomy. And their observation of day and the nighttime sky aligned with that belief. So I think we've already seen from the exhibit this concept of a pantheon of gods that are constantly needed to be appeased to have good favor in the world. So this is actually Cococan here. So cosmology, okay. So through the process of learning this, I understood that there were certain gods that were associated with certain astronomical objects. So I'm going to just deal with really the core pieces. I actually found an article that actually cited references for almost all the planets, but I'm going to talk about only really the key ones. So the sun, the moon, the planets, and constellations even, the really common constellations are involved. So of course, they were also interested in things like eclipses, like, oops, something happened here. Oh, there we go.
Oh, great.
So there's a lunar eclipse, there's a solar eclipse, and there's the Pleiades. Now Pleiades is a very, very common constellation that is found in virtually every culture. So what could they do? This is a really pre-optical astronomy, right? So this is naked eye astronomy, if you want to call it that. They were basically using the horizon line and the zenith as ways of marching or measuring time. So they also had this concept of rebirth, this cycle of life. So there's creation and destruction as part of the mythos. And you can actually see Pakal here. This is just, I think this is a Linda Shiley drawing. This one has often been misunderstood because people look at it. I think the people in the 70s looked at it and they saw the ornateness of his position looking up, and it just so happened that the tree of life is passing right beside him because he's actually being resurrected. And in the 70s, they immediately took that to mean that he was an astronaut looking and peering up through his optical device. But in reality, if you look at the drawing carefully, you'll see that it has that look of the world tree or the tree of life. And the sky, of course, becomes the stage for this cycle. So when things disappear underneath the horizon line and reappear later, that is like that concept of death and rebirth. So gods were numerous and often associated with animals. So you can see the jaguar here, his spots are meant to be stars. So here's kind of an analogy about all the different connections between the mythos and astronomical objects. I already mentioned the spots of the jaguar with the stars on his skin. The hero twins, in the beginning, because they're at the beginning of time, the beginning of creation, they are the sun and the moon. Believe it or not, they belong to the Flat Earth Society, so they did not believe the Earth was round. They believed that it was flat. It's quite interesting because they think of it as being supported by 4 jaguars. The cardinality theme is strewn throughout this. So they often have gods, which is like a north god, a south god, a west and an east god. And in this case, Earth is supported by these 4 jaguars. And of course, let's pop up to the top here. This is the world tree. And it's really meant to represent the Milky Way. And the Milky Way is a very dominant thing. You have to remember, this is an old society with no artificial light, so the Milky Way would have been very dominant. I don't know how many of you actually see the Milky Way here in the city, probably not many of you. So in the darker areas of the world, they would have been very prominent. When the Milky Way, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but the Milky Way at different parts of the year will go right across as an arc, and then eventually, at least here in North America, as we approach the fall, the Milky Way actually starts standing up vertically. And the comment they made was the fact that for them, the world tree was represented by this vertical positioning of the Milky Way. And then, of course, the Kokan, the feathered serpent, messenger to the gods, the king could speak through the serpent. So what did they observe and document? Well, certain objects were really key to their understanding of the world. So the sun and the moon obviously